Hello, I'm an old guy and I do maths. And today we're going to start right at the beginning of trigonometry and go through the very basic ideas behind it. Now, when I'm first explaining this to someone, I draw three triangles, which you can see here. And the thing to notice about them is that they all have the same height. They are right angle triangles because that's where we start in trigonometry. And the difference, or the differences between them, are in the length of the bases, the length of this line here, which is called a hypotenuse, and the difference in these angles. So what you can see hopefully is that as this base extends, so does this, the hypotenuse, but this angle gets smaller and smaller. So from here to here, there's a visible difference in the size of the angle. And what we can take from that is the idea that if we change the length or lengths of the sides of a triangle, there is an effect upon the size of the angles within that triangle. Now, this is really, really obvious. It makes perfect sense when you think about it. But it's the actual basis of trigonometry. And so what we should be able to do is we should be able to say, for example, that the ratio of this line to this line has a calculable bearing on the size of this angle. And that's what underlies all of trigonometry. Okay, let's move on. Now, in order to get a good footing in trigonometry, it's important that you understand a number of terms. And what I've done is I've set out a right angle triangle here, and I've marked an angle in one corner. And you'll see that there are various labels on these sides. Now, this sloping side here is always called a hypotenuse. It doesn't matter if the angle that we're interested in is up here, here, or even here. This is always a hypotenuse, this longest side. The line that is here that doesn't touch the angle that we are interested in is called the opposite side. And the line that touches that angle but is not the hypotenuse is called the adjacent. And we can see that echoed in this diagram here. I'll just put these two together so that you can see them. Just let me get all of that into, as much of that into frame as I can. Now, what you'll see is that in this case, the angle is up here. This becomes the opposite side. Over here it was the adjacent because it was beside this angle, the angle that we were interested in. This is the angle that we're interested in on this triangle, and this side is now the adjacent. This side remains the hypotenuse, and this side has become the opposite. So what I'm saying is that opposite and adjacent can move around, and that is a source of quite a bit of confusion when it comes to people starting out with trigonometry. Now, the next step from here, which will be a separate video, is to define the ideas of, just let me write these here, sine, cosine, and tangent, which are three ratios that we use to find either a missing length in a triangle or an angle. And I won't be spoiling the surprise, if I tell you that these ratios are based upon these three sides, and as this is not a terribly long video and I can squeeze this in, the sine ratio is often abbreviated to that, SOH, which is the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. So we would say that the sine of this angle is the length of this side divided by the length of this side. Now, what that does is it gives us a number that we're able to look up in a set of tables or find on a calculator, and it will tell us the size of that angle. That's basically how it works. So if we have this side and this side, we can use this. The cosine is the adjacent side, the side adjacent to this angle, divided by the hypotenuse. Similar story. The tangent is this side divided by this side, opposite divided by adjacent. If we go back to the first diagram, it would be this side divided by this side in that order, because this angle is here. And leading into the next lesson on this, there's a useful set of letters pronounced SOHCAHTOA, which give you the ratios for each of these things, sine, cosine, and tangent. So what is it that you should be getting out of this video? Let's go back to first principles, that there is a relationship between the size of an angle and the size of lengths in a right angle triangle, because that's what you're going to be dealing with first. It's true for all triangles, but you're going to be dealing with right angle triangles first. And in order to get a decent reference point, we name those sides with respect to an angle that we're looking for, or an angle that we know about. The side that touches that angle is the adjacent, the side that does not is the opposite, and this is always the hypotenuse. From here, I think it would be wise to move on and have a look at the video on sines, cosines, and tangents, and actually how we go about finding an angle. That will be in the playlist. See you there maybe. Thanks for watching. Bye.